Thank you for that wonderful music, Wader. We're going to begin our announcements with none other than David Alexander giving a stewardship message. And thank you, David.
Send all your money to Greenbelt Community Church or God will smite you, is the opening for this stewardship appeal that I briefly considered before deciding that it sounded a little too apocalyptic. On the other hand, I would hate to look back from some later time and regret that my tone wasn't apocalyptic enough. Given the way that 2020 has been going, a certain amount of apocalypse fatigue can be expected. Every time you open the newspaper, it's a pandemic or a recession, wildfires, or racial unrest, or murder hornets. Don't forget the murder hornets. With all this coming at you from every direction, it can be hard to maintain your balance. And while I am supposed to be here talking about stewardship, I may end up talking more about balance. The first balancing act that I want to talk about is something that I've already touched on, and that is finding a balance between too much apocalypse and not enough. On the one hand, there is, well, everything that has been coming at us this whole long year. On the other hand, there is Jeremiah 29:11. For I know the plans I have for you, declares the Lord, plans to prosper you and to give you hope and a future. We do not know what the world is going to look like when all the dust settles and the smoke clears. And we have a responsibility, both as a church and as individuals, to our fellow human beings and to future generations to try to shape this new world. But in the end, we have to accept the limits on what we can do and trust in God that God will prosper us and not harm us. The second point of balance that we need to consider is between trying to fix the world and our need to take care of ourselves. The Reverend Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. said that the arc of the moral universe is long, but it bends toward justice. We need to support this church because we need to keep bending that arc toward justice. We need to support this church so we can keep coming together to support things we have done in the past. Crop Walk, Help by Phone, Heifer Project, disaster relief efforts, Christmas in April, Safe Haven, and to invent the new things that will need to be done. At the same time, we also need to support this church because each and every one of us needs support in our own lives, now perhaps more than ever. The third balance to be struck is between your support of the church and everything else you do in life. At the beginning, I joked about giving the church all your money, and yes, it was a joke. We all have responsibilities to take care of our families, ourselves, and many other things. So, and I'm finally getting to stewardship, I am here to ask you to give of what you have, time and talent and treasure, as much as you can, and no more. But remember, as you're striking this final balance, what this church can do for a hurting world and what this church can do for hurting people. Give what you can, and let's keep this church that we have going into the future, whatever that future looks like. If we can find our own balance, we can help to balance the world. Thank you. Oh, and vote. Don't forget to vote. And there is still time to answer the census. If you're not sure if you've answered the census, make sure you do that. And give to the church to keep it going. Thank you.
Thank you, David. A much appreciated message about the moral arc of the universe and the glorious words of the prophet Jeremiah.